Hello, friends. We're going to talk about the three places of storage that our brain can store memories. And I'm going to give you some information here. We're going to break this down so you'll have a better understanding of what goes on in these three regions of storage. And it's not specific to SRA survivors. It could be, for traumatic events. So, okay, let's start with region number one at the lowest point. That would be the intestines. And, you've all heard the term gut brain. Well, this is the place where memories can originate from 0 to 3 years old. So when memories start, it's I'd like to stress that and talk about our intestines and our guts. It responds very strongly to fear and stress when it's under extreme conditions of fear and stress. This area in the intestines and the gut is going to be really hypersensitive to that time. Now, I'm talking from the age of 0 to 3 years old. And there's an ish factor here with everybody, but that's a general kind of a guideline. And there's an autonomic pattern that takes place. Now, these responses to the fear and the stress, it's like the gut and the intestines itself is not gonna actually have the memory stored down in there, but these are expressions from that area, the gut brain, the intestines, that are happening because these experiences during that time, they're very, like I said, the emotional responses to fear and stress during that time. It's felt, it's perceived, it's okay, we got you. We know this fear and trauma has taken place. So we're going to bring that memory in because of these feelings and this response that we're having during this time, this 0 to 3 years old. And so it basically, when there's an extreme physical trauma or experience that takes place, is when this gut brain is going to respond to the experience of what took place. I hope this is making sense. I'm trying to break it down to, just a real common understanding here. There is a nerve that goes all the way down from the brainstem all the way down. It actually goes to the heart, and it goes down to the intestines, the gut brain. It's called the vagus nerve. And this nerve axis sends information from the intestines area back up to the brain. Now, keep in mind, from 0 to 3, the brain's not fully developed. It's still at an infancy state. And the brain When it develops, it goes forward like that from the back to the front. The frontal lobes aren't fully developed. The hippocampus is not developed, and it the brain at this point cannot encode long-term memory. So, um, what happens in the intestines and in this lower region is there's the sympathetic nervous system is activated, and there's an extreme influx and flow of cortisol, and there's this surge, and there's a surge of blood flow, and blood flow is actually diverted away from the gut brain, and the gut, um, the motility of it, it actually uh, will can freeze the operation of the coordinated muscles and the spasms that it takes to digest food and liquids through the intestinal tract. That actually freezes because of this trauma that took place that's so overwhelming. This takes precedence. Everything else is going to be set to the side. So it has the feeling of uh, these things that have taken place. The brainstem down here, that goes all the way down to this gut brain, it's going to encode a threat that has taken place in the intestines. Now, the intestines during this time, it has thousands and thousands of neurons, even at the infant stage, and I mean thousands. So this is why it has this capability of operating with these feelings. The trauma or the memory from the gut intestines. I like to use the word intestines because that's a more accurate definition. That trauma, the trauma, the fear, and the trauma, it'll get encoded into the brain during this time, and the brain will actually learn a pattern. It doesn't store the memory. There won't be memory of time, date, names, or things of this nature. And it will store, like I said, the trauma and this hypersensitivity of what just took place. And an SRA survivor, there's more than one incident that happens during this 0 to 3 years of age. If this can take place in somebody who just experienced a fight or flight scenario. It could be simple as they could have just been exposed to something and seen something that is just too much for them to handle. And what happens during this time if they experience, it could be pain, trauma. If the pain is too severe during this time, the hemispheres split in the brain. And two real people are created during this time. And the experience of what just happened gets encoded into the file system of the brain of the experience. Now, let's go jump up. We're past 3 years old. Now we're going to move up to the heart. The heart has like over 20,000 neurons going through the heart. And the same scenario during the 3 to 5. And this is an ish factor. It's not true for every living person, but this is a general guideline for the age and what happens. And this is why we can't remember much below 6 years old. There are incidences sometimes where people can remember, fragments and such. The emotions, now from 3 to 5, memories are going to go to the heart. The heart, whenever we talk about the heart, it's always about feelings. It's always about your emotions, because that's where the emotions are seated, is in your heart. It is going to be like a heartfelt feeling during this time. The limbic system in the brain during from 3 to 5 is way more activated now. But the hippocampus and the memory is not fully developed. So it can't 100% start throwing memories up there yet. It's not fully developed. The brain is not fully developed. There's an automatic control system that automatic controls your blood flow, your heartbeat. And these memories during this 3 to 5 years of age will take the experiences and the emotional attachment to these experiences, trauma, just events that were just extremely significant. This could be pain, this could be trauma, physical trauma, absolutely 110%. And it will also throw up memories that are encoded into the brain, but we don't have the specific details at this point. But we do know they're heartfelt. There's a lot of emotion attached to the things that have taken place during this time in this age group. These emotions and these feelings, they're non-verbal. They're very implicit. Your emotional learning at this point, it's very strong. And there's a narrative recall that is actually kind of weak, because we can't remember the specific dates and times and stamps on it at this time. The hippocampus doesn't fully mature or start fully maturing until after the age of 7 years old. And we're still at this 3 to 5 years old. And these memories you're gonna have a lot of emotion attached to these memories. And you're gonna feel them a lot. And if a person says, I have a memory of when I was really young, I can't quite put my finger on it, but it'll just make them start crying. They'll feel really sad. That's because it happened during this age time, and it went into the neurons of the heart, which hold from the original experience of that trauma. And it's encoded like a computer up in the brain. From ages to 5 to 7 years old, this is a very transitional age, because now the brain is starting to really go forward in its fully development. And there's a huge improvement with memory recall and the efficiency of memory recall during the 5 to 7 years of age. And this is why you can actually remember some things during that time. But keep note, this is the transitional period of the brain. The emotional impact moments where there's strong emotions that maybe the heart felt, even during this time, there's going to be some recall. There's going to be some timestamps, maybe not specific, but a general guideline during that time. In an SRA survivor, the trauma and the experiences of physical pain and trauma continue on from 0 to, almost 7 years old. So during this 5 to 7 years of age is when the brain is really starting to move forward and fully develop. And this recall, the memories, there's more than just an encoded information where, I knew something happened, but I can't put my finger on it. There's actually some details that are attached to it during this time frame. And then, of course, after the age of about 7 years old, the brain's fully developed now, and all the pathways from that vagus nerve that goes down to the gut, from the heart up to the brain, is fully functional, and the intestines and the heart are now sending all memories from this point forward up into the hippocampus. And here's where we have long-term memory. This is why we can remember a lot of things around that age and beyond. Now, I'd like to clarify, when the hemispheres get split during trauma, the presenting conscience person in the prefrontal cortex part of your brain, who's awake all of the time, probably even possibility they're a born again believer, a nice person, will not have memories of some of these bad things that have happened, because that's held on the other side of the hemisphere of the brain. And it doesn't know about it. The other person does, though. So these memories within the brain, God has designed all these safety abilities within our brain to keep us functioning, to keep us alive. My favorite verse in the Bible is Psalm 147, verse 3. And it says, He came to heal our broken heart and bind up our wounds. Well, that word heart, of course, is translated into our soul, our mind, our will, and our emotions. And Jesus is the fulfillment of that scripture. He came to heal our broken minds. Every layer of your mind, every memory of your mind, He came to do that because He loves you so much. He wouldn't be God if He can't do it, and He does it. I meet with people every day, and they see great results, and they are put back together. He can do it for you because He loves you. I hope you have learned something out of this video, and drop a comment because I'd like to hear from you. Okay, God bless you. And this was on the 3 layers of memory. Okay, we'll talk to you later. Bye bye.